Good afternoon, everybody. It really feels it wasn't that long ago that I was talking to you, and the short answer is, well, it was only 14 hours, and of course, I slept for some of them. So, however, while I have been away, I did do a little poking around and some experimentation. And what was the experiment? You may recall that so far in stream, it has been really difficult for you to see the stitches against the light green paper that I've been using. And it is traditional to use light green slash light blue paper. However, by chance, something I bought a little while ago, which was card actually, but gave me an idea. And I haven't pricked it because life's not that being kind, I haven't had that much time. But I did print and laminate, so make it is ready for you to prick and potentially use. And I'm still missing some of the spots because I didn't add them before I printed it. But I do have a new potential pattern square. Let me show you. So, as you can see, let me move it up a bit. It's brown. Now, this is the craft brown paper that I mentioned to you guys before. And here I have, obviously, printed it out. I laminated it just like the other ones. And if I grab some bobbins, she says trying to grab a pair of bobbins, which for some reason seems to be a heck of a lot harder than it sounds, and because they have done the I went round the wrong way kind of thing, right? Okay. So out of the 5 bobbins that I wound the other day, if I do this, even though we're zoomed out, that is far more visible. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's far more visible. If I zoom in, and now it's really visible, and I haven't had to try and filter it. I haven't tried to do anything more exciting than I'll put it on brown paper. So, when we move on from the end of this triangle of hate, because let's face it, that's kind of where we're at, we can, well, I will spend some time poking holes in the square, whether it's this square or a very similar square, and I think perhaps both squares may be in order, because you may recall we're going to try for this middle section, which is marked out for ground. Obviously, this is my red ground, this is my cloth, but the outside there's ground and the inside is ground. We were going to try a honeycomb with cross, and it does fit. I have thought of a slight which is, while they all bat together to make, like, I won't call them heart shapes because, actually, let me zoom out again because you can't really see. Hang on. While these kind of V shapes do allow for 2 rows meeting in the point, there's a gap where the turn is. Now, this is not a problem, because turning you get lines, but it might make it stand out quite a lot, which might mean that it's not ideal, or that I have to change the square so that maybe it's 1 stitch further over, so that they all butt together in the middle, so that the middle doesn't have the blatant join. If you think back to this picture, you can see where the diagonal is. All the way through, the honeycombs change direction, which is fine, they'd still potentially change direction, but the honeycombs change direction, all the way through the cloth stitch, there is the gap, which is formed by the join, as is even obvious. I mean, if you look at the pattern, and I zoom in again, I know, lots of work, you can see on this that there is the gap between where the cloth stitch ends per quarter. And of course, it doesn't take a genius to realise that that is why you see the diagonal line on the square. So it becomes quite obvious that how it's made. It's made in 4 triangles. But if we compare brown square to magic green square underneath, now that's with the filter on. So let me fix that. Dunk. Right, if I put the brown square back, you can see that the brown, although they are similar depths in colour for me, on camera the brown reacts a hell of a lot better than the green does. So brown it is, and that's alright. I like brown. Liz likes a bit of, you know, my whole house is a shade of beige, so this is really not a huge problem. So let me move my camera a bit, because, you know, it's a bit at the top, and I can bring it down a bit. There you go. It is time. We shall prevail. We shall move on, and we shall try and do a lot of work today, and maybe not so much chat, because clearly chatting and working has not proved very successful for me at this point. So we need to pay more attention. Or I need to pay more attention at least. Let's move you out the way, because we won't be using you for a bit. I'm trying to unsort them so that they're not tangled now. Move them round, out the way. Now we could try the honeycombs now, because I could go down here and do a bit of cloth stitch and do the honeycombs. But I'm going to try and keep them in line. So I need to uncover these, which were the poor threads going around these 2 needles making up our cloth stitch patch. I screwed up so well yesterday. Oh, for goodness sake, I swear I am only capable of untwisting them in the wrong direction. So that's you two. And are you part of this? You are not part of this, so you get to stay over there. Right, so we have a choice. Let me zoom in again. I could be working, I know there's loads of threads in the way, but you can see it poking out the end. I could be working this cloth stitch here. I could start the honeycombs here. Or I can do what I'm going to do, which is do this bit of cloth stitch here. Why am I starting there? Well, A, it's the highest point, and traditionally that's what we do. You do the highest point. Let me move my table slightly. There you go. So you do the highest point because, well, the highest point usually has to feed something further down. Now, part of the reason this is slightly different is because I was just checking something. Because remember we got to the bottom and we didn't have enough bobbins and all of that kind of stuff? I don't think I should have discarded you. Which is why it probably didn't work out very well. Let me stick my head in and have a look. No, I shouldn't. So let's undo this last row to include them. As I said, I seem to be making an awful lot of simple but annoying mistakes, meaning that work is not progressing in the way that it should, and clearly that is not a thing. She says banging the pillow. Sorry about that. So I need to unpin you. Snap. And uncross you. I'm crossing them the wrong way. Because crossing the right way. And keep you in. Because... Now let me think about that. Let me think about that again. Part of the problem was that we didn't have the right number of threads, and you may recall the reason these ones here are on a funny angle was because we forgot to discard one at the top. And I mumble every single time I do this cloth stitch bit that it can be confusing about how many bobbins you have on the go. Now, the reason I'm confused with these is these two come out the side. These two should have been in the line before. So I really did stuff this up spectacularly, because now I've got two lots of bobbins that, well, don't join where they should, and I don't really want to undo anymore. So I'm going to have to slightly fudge it again, more fudging, but as we've already decided that we are not going to be using this triangle, we're just going to be looking at the general overall pattern. We're going to pretend once again that this has not happened, because this is not a real square. This is, you know, this is never going to see the light of day again by this rate. I'm going to ceremoniously Viking bury it in the garden. So this now gives us 4 pairs in the middle, which would be right at the corner, because a pair joins in and a pair leaves. Well, a pair doesn't leave, and so, yeah, well, this corner pair leaves, right? This first pair will leave and become this corner of this rose grant. So, realistically, I will work this pair, it will then come out, and there are only 3 which go to the other corner and do not gain one, so there's 3, and then comes back, loses 1, which means there's 2, but gains 1 the other side, so it becomes 3 again. Now you can see why the count is a problem, because when working one direction it's 3 and add 1 and drop 1 later the other side, and drop 1 when you get back to the other side. When you do it the other way, you drop 1, work across, so there's now only 2, but then you gain a third one. So you kind of always have 3, but depending on whether you're dropping it pre or post, means that it feels like you've got more or less. And of course, because you have 1 early or lose 1 late, if you gain 1 early, well, now you've got 1 more, and if you lose 1 late, well, then it's 2 short because it swings the other way. Which is why it makes my brain hurt, and why I always feel like I've got it wrong. Now, obviously, clearly, I got that one incredibly wrong, even though, you may recall, I was counting them. So, that's really annoying. That's, you know, that's kind of mean and unfair of it. I tried so hard, and I still screwed it up. And, as we discussed yesterday, the whole kind of final curtain, not that kind of final curtain, but the actual curtain, quality control will have to be a key aspect. I'm going to start stealing pins from the back again. Because while some mistakes will go unnoticed, I will have to fix any of the ones like this where there aren't enough bobbins or there are too many bobbins. I will have to undo, and if it means I have to undo a third of a triangle because I stuffed it up so far back that it's just embarrassing, then I'm going to have to undo it. So that's kind of where we're at. which makes it not ideal, obviously, because, you know, well, certainly if this was a real one, there would be a heck of a lot of undoing. So, it is definitely not quite what you really want in life. And I'm just checking that I am not going insane. Now, you see, this one will come down to the next pin, so I am not mad. I am checking I am not stuffing up, because, well, we've already proved I'm really good at that. So, crossy crossy. These frigging spangles, I swear, I would rather rip every single spangle off these bobbins and just use the bobbins without spangles. I hate these spangles that much. I know that it's traditional. Well, clearly I'm not, because I really hate them. So hence again, you know, this cannot continue, because I haven't even made it through a quarter of the triangle, and all I've done for however many hours we've been doing this is moan about spangles. And with any luck, you can see while I'm working, some of the issues the spangles are giving me. Oops. Before I add you in, let's straighten you out a bit. 2, 3. You have a cross on you, which was what I wanted to check. You now need... Now, you sort of there. So, you see, again, do you sort off before the pin or after the pin? The answer has to be after the pin. So, but sometimes, see, these ones I kind of can cope with because they're really flexible. But it's the big, hard ones that really big ones, that when you pick the bobbin up and put it down, I mean, that doesn't go flat, but it's kind of flat. I know you can't really see it, actually. It's too far off screen. But because this one, you know, kind of tucks under itself, it goes flat. Whereas, say, if I pick this bugger up, as you can see, the spangle doesn't really move, but it moves enough that it can't sit flat even when it's in a good mood. And so that whole shenanigans is just not a thing. It's just not right. And yeah. Oh, I keep putting pins in the bottom right hand corner and then stabbing myself in the elbow with them. So I really need to stop that. The worst thing is I never remember putting them there, because I tried to put them over here, but for some reason I successfully stab myself every time. Doop, 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 doop. You're next, so you can keep it right. There is no specific place I am taking a pin from. I am just taking it somewhere from the back, because that is more than plenty layers of pins to secure the work. Where's my prodder? This is a pin prodder. It's got a little dent in the end to go over the head of the pin, but it's also good to dob your work back down to ground in between the pins, because the bobbins tend to lift the bobbins up, you tend to pull the work up with the bobbins, and it's not a problem, it won't kill anybody, but it does mean that sometimes when you're looking at it, the work's kind of not in sync with the pattern underneath it, visually at least. And let's see if I can move you a little bit more around, because there's going to be a few of you. And because you see there, I took a pair out and now I've only got 2, and your brain's going, oh, I missed them, I've lost a bobbin, oh my goodness. And the answer is no, you haven't, because they're here and you need to add them at the end of the row. So, and then it all adds up again, because now it's 3. So, But because of the way it worked when you were going the other way, you had 3, got to the end and added 1 for the, but you added it almost on like the, I won't say the line before, but because you add it before you put the pin in and you discard after you've put the pin in, you end up with the imbalance of confusion. And my brain still keeps going, oh, you've lost some, but it's not. It's just my brain being my brain. I feel like donating it to science, because it clearly needs, help. After all, once I'm gone, I won't need it, so they're kind of welcome to it, really. You need to stay under there and out the way. Go. Twisty, twisty. Lengtheny, lengtheny. And something else you may have kind of picked up on is that sometimes some bobbins need more lengthening than the others. And part of the reason for that is, for example, during cloth stitch, you've got one pair that started up on that very first pin and it's done all the backs and forths all the way down, whereas everyone else took a straight route. So obviously they chew through thread way more than all the others. And obviously when it comes to the whole square, this outside pair needs to have 4 times the length on it, and this single pair in the middle does shag all of nothing. And so it barely moves, you need like an inch of it, but obviously you can't have an inch and a bobbin and work with it. But realistically, it is a speck in the middle. And so it's really bad at working out how much thread to put on a bobbin, because the bobbins are, you need progressively more if you work out from the middle, but the worker pairs on the cloth stitch will need more than any of the others. But at the same time, if you don't, because when you wind them, you inevitably do not wind them and immediately use them, it is easy then to mix up and maybe put the wrong pair in the wrong place. So then you feel like you've got to make up for it, if for want of a better word, so that there is enough on any of the bobbins to be used for a cloth stitch purpose, in case that's the one that gets the job. And if you stuff up, well, it's not going to be your cloth stitch pair anymore, is it? Because you stuffed it up. And because, if you had a square of cloth stitch in the middle, depending on how you stuff up, will vary which pair will arrive in for the winning task when it gets there. And so, yeah, it is not always as easy to get the perfect amount on the bobbin without an element of waste. And my co-worker needs to shut up. I know, it's not my co-worker, I do apologise. It is my phone provider going, hey, your electronic bill that comes out on this day every month that you could never possibly predict is ready for you to view. It will say the same amount because you have an all-inclusive bill, and so we can't charge you for anything extra. So, yeah, how about you just don't? Let me silence my phone. I've got a little kind of waterproof flap over the silencing bit of my phone, and it's really hard to get at. There we go. Yay for the crochet hook. Right. I now need to... Do I need to pick that one up? You see, you look like you should have been in the last one. You should have been in the last one. So how did I achieve that? Because... How did I achieve that? So, bring you two back for a minute. And... Oh, just sit still, dog, please, for the love of God. The Amazon man may come. What is the Amazon man bringeth? I don't remember actually. But the Amazon man said he would, I've got a thing from Amazon saying he will be here maybe until 10 o'clock tonight. So the Amazon man may cometh. There you go. I just forget what I ordered. Note to self: you put a pin in the bottom right hand corner, so don't stab yourself with it. 1, 2, 3. You need to come out. I think. Just checking. You last pin. You want this pin. You come out. Gives you 2. Puts you back at 3. Put the pin up. Stabbed myself with it earlier. So as you can see, even though it's not hard, I mean, counting to 3, we can all do that. Well, we thought we did. We thought we could, but maybe we can't. So it is clearly very easy to get it wrong, even when you're really trying. So as I said, when we come to make, if this square is as nice as I think it's going to be, well, this triangle, because yeah, if this triangle works out, other than winding a load of new bobbins and me spending a lot of time pricking holes in that round piece of paper, out with the old, in with the new. Oh, there's a pin there. In with the new. Use the pin. I think we'll be in quite a good position for squares. I've had the email back from the nice people who make the really huge bolster cushion, and that's now ordered. Don't get me wrong, the post is nearly as much as buying it. But like I said, when I ordered this cushion, I think the cushion was £34, some 90 or something, and then it was like £7.50 for delivery. So it in total cost me about 40 something quid. The bolster cushion is £20. Delivery is between 10 and 15. So the huge bolster cushion that could make my neck curtain in one piece is up to £35. So it's cheaper than this. And obviously my brain's going, well, can we start again with the planning then? Because we could do it all in one piece. And Anna. And there's a bit of you going, shut up, brain. Brain, we have discussed your impulses before, and we are making the neck curtain. We're in the final stages of planning this neck curtain. You were on board with this, but now, of course, you've heard the possibility of changing it to something new, and now you want in. Well, of course you want in. It's new, exciting, and potentially even better, and I'm not going to disagree with that, because obviously no joins, got to be better. But I think the answer is to do both, because there is benefit and the practice. Well, clearly I need the practice, so because I suck, or at least it seems like I suck. I seem to suck, so we you know, getting the practice in is not going to do me any harm, clearly. Well, other than I seem to be practicing making mistakes, not making them in the first place. This bobbin. Anyway, so I think the answer will be is there will be neck curtain Mark II. Now, neck curtain Mark II, if going along yesterday's planning potential, where we were potentially talking of spiders, or even the little honeycombs with crosses that we're going to try as part of this, if we like them enough, after all, and maybe having some cloth stitched diamonds or something in a colour as a a bit of a highlight or something, that would grow potentially a lot quicker than this. And part of the reason for that is because A, spiders grow really quick, but secondly, I would probably use a bigger thread because they're going to be spiders, rather than the fine thread. So there would be a lot less bobbins in play. You don't stop and start making different chunks. You kind of just go for it. And, you know, like I explained before, if this was kind of the all-in-one, and even, you know, if this was squares, each of the kind of, if you think of this, there's 3 blocks of, well, let's go for some words that make sense, Liz. So, across here, I've worked out, I think, is 6 honeycombs, right? There are, I know it's not, but go with it. There are 5 there, so that would be 2 blocks potentially there, and then let's say it's 6 coming out the other side. So, in terms of making a real, you know, a bigger, you know, the all-in-one, you've got repetition, 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 something that fits in the same space, but is marginally different, something that fits in the same space, marginally different, repetition, repetition, repetition. So you don't stop and do like I'm doing here and doing this little bit of cloth stitch, and then maybe go and do this bit of cloth stitch over here, and then fill in this bit down here and do all of that, then all of these, and then all of that. You would work purely in a diagonal, either filling in the squares like this or filling in the squares like that. And I think, and that does tend to lead to a more flowing pattern, because you're not stopping, you're not, you know, unlike this, I don't have to be counting in and out, because all the threads that go in the square come out the square the other end. And I'm not saying it's not possible to make stakes. Oh my lord, it is so possible to make stakes. But again, because it is a lot less pin hungry, because with spiders you have 1 pin in the middle, and obviously the bigger the, you know, if you had, like I showed you yesterday, 6 pins each side of the square, well, that's 12 pairs of bare bobbins going in, 1 pin in the middle, 12 pairs coming out, rather than 36 workings together, right? So it works up a lot quicker. And as a result of working up a lot quicker, which, you know, hallelujah, that can always be a grateful and wonderful thing. And I would be using potentially bigger threads, so there would be less threads per inch, less bobbins to be annoying me in general, and it would be working on a bolster cushion, so I can just sling them. It has the potential to work up really quite well. And so this, you know, this one will be a labour of love, and I knew this before I started. There was no way this was not going to be a labour of love, because even on a good week, the original square took a week. Now, I wasn't filming it, talking over the top, stopping and talking. I was, every spare moment I could find, so half an hour for me lunch during work, immediately after work, do a bit, maybe watch a bit of tea, have some, you know, put some food on, come back, do some more, go and get my tea, eat my tea, take, you know, put the dishes in the dishwasher, and come back, do a bit more, you know, walk the dog, come back, do a bit more. So I got far more hours per day of lace making in, but it took me just over a week to make the square. And as we've already worked out that it's 3x4, so 12, well, that's a minimum, let's say 12 weeks to make the square. If I'm going to be recording it and talking and distracting myself, as we've already proved, this is like this is the 3rd Friday, so the end of week 2. I haven't even finished the first quarter yet, so it could be absolutely monumentally a long time while I make the neck curtain. And what I may end up doing is, because it would be somewhat, well, in fact, incredibly repetitive, is doing it off camera and kind of catching you up when you get there and doing some with you and you know, kind of like I was, but videoing some sections of it. But I want to kind of record it all. So I really don't know. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle that, because I want to record it all, because I do, but then at the same time, it's not practical. Not if we all want to get to the end with our sanity. So I really don't know quite what to do about that. There's the hole. Next time I prick this, I am using a much fatter pricking device. I really am. Because these holes are a bit fine. I didn't use these pins, so it's not that fine, but it is pretty fine. And yeah, it's too fine for my sanity. So here we go. Pin. That's right. Dithering hands were what? Do I get one from my pot or steal one? And the answer is just steal them. Stop being stupid. Stupid frigging spangles. I hate spangles. And of course it's got pokey out bit of wire that scratches my cloth. How dare it! And moreover, it's the cloth on the actual cushion, so if you made a big mangle of it, I can't replace it very easily either. I'd have to replace the whole thing, which would get annoying. Nearly at the corner. Out with the old, in with the new, make you a bit longer. Dog rabbiting behind me keeps kicking me in the bum. Last pin. one thing you might not have noticed, which I didn't notice initially, I mentioned to you that my new replacement laminator was a great and glorious thing and came with a guillotine on top to trim the paper, which is great because it's all in one place. My other guillotine is not attached to anything, and well, it's quite big and unwieldy, because, you know, well, it just is, and being attached to the laminator makes it quite practical because, well, it's all in one place. And it makes it quite neat because you've got a little lid that you kind of flop over the top to hide the guillotine afterwards. But it's got like slot-in paper cutters. And I thought there were just 3 heads. Because when I bought it off Amazon, it didn't mention that they were different. Anyway, I grabbed one today and I did the brown paper. Now, if you look really carefully at this green paper, look at the edge, right, was trimmed with the same guillotine that I trimmed this one with. You will have to look fairly closely, and I'm not sure it really shows on camera. Those are not straight edges. They are tiny, tiny little waves. And it turned out that if you paid really close attention to the solid orange paper cuttery devices, in fact, let me grab you one and you can see my point. So you get these, which are little paper cutters, and you can handle them quite well, just don't press down on them. But on the top, which you probably can only see if I hold it at that angle, this is the straight one. On the wavy one, that straight line that is marginally embossed by like 0.1 of a millimetre is slightly wavy. So I didn't notice because, you know, wasn't really awake when I did it. And I hadn't thought to look because I hadn't even really noticed that they had something embossed on top, because I just thought it was part of the decoration to make them look slightly less crappy. And it meant that when I did the first one, the first line, I looked at it and kind of went, that's not straight. But it was kind of, I wondered if it was the paper, I wondered if I'd done something stupid, but it was alright. So I did the other sides, and then I had a look. So I've got a straight one, this marginally dainty wavy one, and a dotted line one. Well, I could have mentioned it. I thought it was 1 head and 2 spares for when it, you know, so for if it got dull. I didn't realise that they were all different. So let's move these around here because we don't need you anymore. Let's move you around. And we can move some of you around. Now, think about this, Kimber. I'm going, because you're actually spare, I'm going to put you over you because you constitute the... Oh, look, I really should have gone back grabbing those. In fact, while I'm here, let me just liberate a couple of these pins to make my clothing exploits just a little bit more practical. There we go. So that can sit there out the way. Now we move these onto this and we can start at the top again, as long as we wrap them round the pin carefully to get these out the way. And again, if you were working in one piece and you weren't chopping and changing chunks, you'd have just lobbed these over the back, and I do literally mean lob them over the back, and be picking them up as and when you needed them. So it's quite a liberating way of doing it, it has to be said. And you don't need 50,000 cloths, you just chuck them at the back. Occasionally you might stick some pins in, so that if you're working, I don't know, let's say I'm doing a really big kind of diamond like this, and say each of these were the 6-pin spiders, for example, so I'm going for a really big square in the middle. Well, then you generally put in a couple of, let's call them hat pins. Actually, I do have one to hand. It's in the back of my couch. It's bent, so don't judge me on the fact that it's bent. But you have hat pins, and they're big, and you stab them in, and then obviously, because they're so tall, you can... don't ask why it's on the back of my sofa. Please don't ask why it's on the back of my sofa. But it obviously means that you can then hang quite a lot of bobbins off it with it and pile them up, and repeatedly go backwards and forwards and do that. So, let's uncover you, because we need... I'm going to take this cloth and cover those ones, because we're done with those ones. That's that section. Now we're going to wrap some more bobbins around the pin. I can't wrap them so far because, well, I don't want them to be too long. I do want them out of the way for now, at least. And now I'm mating with some of the pins along the way. Typical. Let's grab. There should be another one somewhere. That one. Yeah, that one. You look mangled. You too. You look a little bit mangled. Anyway, because we're trying to head back to this corner over here. So, I will need you shortly, but not just yet. And we're going to repeat the exact same thing that we've just done. And work across in cloth stitch. Let's shove you up a bit so that you can all fit on and be a bit more out of the way. And finally, just unpin this, poke you down there for a minute. Some of these, which constitute the cloth stitch we were working when we last left. So we've got 4 pairs. See, this was my problem, right? I've got 4 pairs here, didn't have 4 pairs there, and let's see. You seem to be wrapped around a pin you're not supposed to be. You seem to be a pin doing nothing. So... I feel like I screwed up somewhere, but let's look. You would have been coming into this corner. So you would have come in here. So you were right to be around that pin. But what happened, you are actually the working pair. So that makes up 5 pairs of... And there shouldn't be 5. We only had like 3 at the last one. So let's look at this. You two... If the wall doorbell goes, it's Mr. Amazon, I guess. You're all right, so you fit. Or do you? If I stuffed up again, I think I'll be very annoyed with myself. Right, let me... Each of you has a pair, so... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've got 1, 2, 4. So 5. So you're all good. You all fit. That's fine. We know we have enough bobbins along here. 5 it is then. See, this is the problem. That's not what we had in the last corner. Maybe we should have had it in the last corner because remember I stuffed it up, so... And do I lose a pair this corner? Yes, I do. Lose a pair of score. That's fine, because that then takes us back to 4. But then when I get to the other side, I'm picking up to 5. And that's not what we had on the one going the other way. We had 3 in. Let me look at this a lot. I know why. So let's take this pin out again. Stab. You come in and you go out. No, it definitely is right. Seems right. Logically. Fine. Fine. Whatever. So maybe I screwed up the other corner somehow, but I don't think so. Well, at least I didn't think I did, but then I didn't think I screwed up yesterday, but I did a lot of that, so I clearly did. There's obviously a lot more screwing up than I've given myself credit for. Now, you are already out of the picture, so let's put this cloth back down, pick you up. You are the first pair out of the picture. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's, so there were 5 originally, now there's 4. I don't have a pair to pick up. Yes, I do. I have a pair to pick up. So now there'll be 5 again. How can this... I am so going to have to sit down and work this out. Children, let's work this out. Let's stop making the same mistakes. Let's actually calculate how this is supposed to work. So, let me grab my magic program. And I'm going to... No, I didn't click on that computer. That's my magic program. Change the program. Right. Magic program, magic program. How is this supposed to work? So, let's do some dots. Where's me dots? We start off going in kind of that direction. It then goes to, say, there, and changes direction. Something like that. Actually, we need another change of direction, don't we? So we actually, let's go this way a little bit. Right. And then we will get rid of this dot. And we don't really need that to be quite so long, so let's do a little bit of this. Yeah, that'll be fine. Get rid of those. Put in a dot. So, as we start, we have... Just sit down, dog. This dot represents 2 bobbins. And I know I can put text in, so... 2. Right, didn't really want it there. Can I move it? No, apparently not. Just keeps wanting to do that. Can I select it? Yes, I can. So, and of course, there you. Let's get rid of snap to grid, because well, that's been really annoying. So there's 2 there. Each of these dots represents gaining or losing a bobbin. So, back to here, text. Let me draw the picture, let me check which way it worked. We went in first, so drawing the trail goes that way, 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 dunk, dunk, dunk. It doesn't matter if it's not exactly perfect, we just need the path we're going to follow. Right, and at that bottom point we should have 2 bobbins, okay? So, back to text. We're going to have bobbin coming in, bobbin going out. So, at this point, there'll be 3. Doesn't matter if it's not perfectly straight. At this point, there'll be 4. This point, there will be 5. At this one, because it continues down to, let's put some more dots in actually. So let's say that there are some dots. I know these are not on the points and it doesn't matter. Let's fill in some of these because these would be fed by it. So that would be 5. This one would be temporarily 6, so there would be 5 as you cross the void, with the 6th one coming in at this point, but it then immediately, it leaves immediately, so it goes in before the pin, comes out after the pin. So there remain to be, at this point, 5. It goes across, becomes 6, comes back, becomes 5. Goes to be... What is highlighted first? Oh, the OK button. See, this is what's wrong with this software. It's got some real piss poor user friendliness. So again, comes out the other end. Hang on, let me check that before I answer that. 5. But the 5 then goes into that one. So you don't leave it. So this one... I'm getting even more confused, folks. So... you've got to remember it includes the working pair. So let's not be too scared at this point. So at this point, there's 7. Let me move some of these to make them a little bit more with their dot, because you're 4. I may have slightly got out of sync with myself. You're 5. There should be another 5. Let's put you there, and then this corner one's 7. You've gone up, you'll be another 6. Right, so we then come to this side, but we will have dropped out a pair here, so this one will still be 6. So this one will be 6. And it will pick one up the other side. So these should all still be 6. And these will all be 7. We then go this way, where there'll be 6 again. Let me think about this. Yeah, you're coming that way and chucking one out. So this way, see, it's not adding up. Seriously, friggin' ain't adding up. This one you gained one and lost one. So actually you're 6 too. You then become 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. You stay as sixes. 6, 6, 6. 6. No. 6 gains one on the other side. You're 7s. 7, 7, 7, 7. 6, 5, 4, 3. So it doesn't add up. So clearly I don't add up right. 2, 3, 4, 5. Gain 1, lose 1. Sorry, gain 1. Technically 6, but you immediately get rid of it, so it's 5. 6, 5, 6, 5. 6. You don't discard this one, so they're 6s. My bad. Does that up? These are 6s. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. These are not 6 because you're dropping one off every time. These are 5s. Maybe. Alright. You gain one to there, 6. Gain one there. No, it still doesn't friggin' work. How the f does that work? 2, 3, 4, 5. Gain one, lose one. 5. 6. 5, 6, 5, 6. You would now be a 5. This is looking more likely. These, you would be a 5. That makes you lot down here four. Bear in mind I can't see chat if you're talking to me at the moment, because I'm concentrating on this. So that makes you 4s. Let me just check. Hang on, in case anyone's asking. Hi, Sugar Bear. I had this distinct feeling someone was lurking. So you would now be. You gain 1, so you're 5s, 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 5s. Get rid of the 6s because you're not 6s anymore. You're 5s. So 5, 5, and then you come over here and be 6s. 6, 6, 6, 6. You. So you gained 1, lost 1. So technically, actually, you're not even 6s, are you? Let's get rid of these numbers, because. So you were 5 there. You lose 1 over there to 4. You gain 1 and lose 1, so you remain a 4. This is not going to add up again, guys. Then you become 5s. 5, 5, 5, 5. And we lose 1 the other side, so you each become 4s. To there. And now, it doesn't add up again, because that would then mean, as you were 4, you would come back to the other side, lose 1, make 3, come back, and lose 1, makes 2, and then now you've only got 1 at the bobbin at the bottom, and that's not right, there should be 2. So clearly, I can't even work it out when I'm trying. 2, maybe part of the problem is because my brain is including the worker thread. 2, 3, 4. Gain 1. Gain 1, lose 1. 5. 6, 5, 6, 5. 6. You don't lose 1. Okay. So you have to be 6 because you gained 1. You don't lose 1 there, which then means when you come back here, you are 5s. 5, 5, 5, 5. Let's not mark you as 5 yet. You would then be gaining 1, so you're 6, 6, 6, 6. Actually, you do lose 1 coming that way, so that's fine. And that would then make you 6. But you gain 1 and lose 1. So actually, you're 5. This is looking more logical. 6, 6, 6, 6. Which makes all of you 5s. This works. Hallelujah, peoples. I think we have solved it. Doesn't mean why any of this stuff isn't entirely making sense. But the magic bobbins now add up. So bear in mind there's a worker pair. So where it says 2, there's 1 dangling and 1 in my hand, kind of thing. So where it says I should get to a pin and have 6, there's 5 dangling, 1 in my hand. When it says 5, there are 4 dangling, 1 in my hand, right? So, at this point, I am at this corner, and I should have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta-da! Didn't last time. Let's not discuss that. I'm sure I didn't have 5 at the corner last time. But I'm about to add 1, because that I'm about to do this pin here. So I'm actually right. Oh my god. I do need to keep this. I actually almost need to print this out in really big crayon, because clearly my brain has been struggling with this and how it should add up the whole time, and the fact that I keep getting it wrong really isn't helping. So if you're travelling left, so you add to the left, there will be 6, and when you travel to the right, there'll only be 5. See, now my brain's going, but that doesn't make sense, because if you picked up for 6, well, there'll be 6 when you get to the other end. You then discard 1. That's part, as I said, this is where part of the problem comes, is the where you discard, because you discard before or you discard after. And so if you discard heading left, you've put the pin in, you work them and chuck them out immediately. When you discard to the left and you're heading left, you have to work them still, so they're still there. Discard. You should be always discarding after a pin, never before the pin. This is me trying to get it in my head right. I have indeed solved it. Well, at least I have, except for the fact that quite a lot of them have not added up. So clearly I'm dumb, but now I have it marked down, but it does show if you're heading left to then turn right. So you're on. Let me do something. For on that corner where the 6s are, you will have 6 at that point. When you're at the bottom corner, having headed right and now turning left, you will only have 5. You do not have the same at every corner. And I think that's the bit that's been messing with my head. So that the corners are not equal, but they are equal. It's just a case of where the bobbins are at the time. Because in this situation, this first one, you pick up a bobbin to make 6 here, but you don't discard this bobbin. You discard it when you get back the other side. So you temporarily are a bobbin heavy. Whereas here, you have 6, you lose 1, you go down to 5, you go across, you gain 1, but you also instantly lose 1. So you still only have 5. So it's right, but you have less in the corner, and your brain says, well, surely at the corners it should be the same number, you're just turning a corner. Nah. Like the tallies, this is something clearly my poor brain cell absolutely does not want to accept as truth. Because even looking at it, part of it's going, but that can't work, that can't be right. Because, well, we've had 4. If you think, when we were doing the one across here a minute ago, we had 3 dangling and 1 worker. Well, that was 4. We should never have had 4. So that's fucked up. And will bite me later. How? How did we get to that point? How did we get to a point where we didn't have enough bobbins? And this is what makes this so darn frigging complicated. And in so many levels, it shouldn't be. But it almost seems every time I've gone to do it, it's not the same. Now, obviously, once you've stuffed up and not got enough bobbins, or too many bobbins, for example, while you work it, because there are floating ones in the middle, you can carry the problem from the start. So if after like 3 bobbins, you've stuffed it up, so let's say I didn't discard a pair somehow, I mean, you'd like to think I'd have been a bobbin short somewhere else, but clearly, hooking it up is the really easiest thing to do. And now I have sorted this in my head, now obviously part of me is going, I need to change those numbers to 1 less, because it is 1 dangling, 1 worker, and there is always a worker, so there will be 1 dangling here, 2 dangling there, 3 dangling there, so that, because you count the dangles, because that's how many you work across. So that may have to be a slight rendition to each of these, because obviously at, for example, this point where it says number 2, you only add 1 pair of bobbins, you don't put 2 pairs of bobbins in, because you've already got 1, because it came from the dot above. So for example, if I grab my dotty tool, there would have been stitches here, feeding that, and using my freehand tool, they feed like this, in, like that. This then feeds out, for example, to there. This feeds out to there. This feeds out to there. This feeds. I know the dots aren't lining up because they're not on grid, right? This feeds into there. Yeah, the stupid tool's adding extra dots in, which is really not helping, because it does that. But you know, that feeds to there, and you've also got to right click to end each one, so that one feeds into there. Oh, I forgot to click that, didn't I? That one feeds to there, that feeds to there, that feeds to there, to there, that feeds to there, that feeds to there, and to there. So you can see how, although it's looking remarkably messy right now, and obviously if I continued it on, this feeds to that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one. This one feeds to that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. This feeds to that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Now there's more than that, because this then feeds to that one, and that one, and that one. This one feeds like this. Plonk. 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 So as you can see, because of the mesh that you build up with the groundwork, which is why the groundwork's the shape that it is, each of these pins has 2 pairs of bobbins coming in it, 2 pairs of bobbins going out. These kind of don't. These obviously get, one goes backwards and forwards, and then all the spares kind of hang around in the middle. So once you fuck them up, they can stay hanging around the middle, and you only found out that you've really screwed it up when you get to do the bottom corner and you've either got too many bobbins or not enough. And well, unless you recognise, well, oh, I thought this last leg was a little thin or something. Now we already know I fucked up. Let's go back to my lace picture. We already know, because we do. We already know that this cloth stitch bit here, I fucked it up because I only had 4 bobbins, not 5, at any point in time, or 6. I had 4 or 5. I did not have 5 or 6. I had 4 or 5. So we know I screwed up. But at the same time, where did I screw up? Oh yeah, blame Mox for the fuck up. I'm down for that. It's all his fault for not watching my channel. That's exactly what it is. If he'd watched my channel, I wouldn't have fucked it up, because he'd have gone, Liz, did you mean to do that? Yeah, well, blame Mox. But so we know I fucked up there. We know we fucked up there. That's fine. We know, however, this one, hallelujah, appears to be right. Because I am turning the corner, and I am at this corner here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which matches, she says, transitioning back, this number 5, sod off tool. This number 5 here, not that you really can see that that's a number 5, but let me move it. This number 5 here, which relates to the pin just to the left of it. So I have 5, and I am at that corner, matching that. That all works out. I have 5. We are in agreement. This is... yeah, had he been here, it would have been good. So I now add the 6th one, because I have arrived to the other side. And that's a thing. And I'm going to move my pins before I jettison them everywhere. You'd think that metal things would stay in a tub. Nope. Let me grab a few more from the back, because I can. So, we know that these add up. Oh, I've got a pin over here. I've stabbed myself in the pin with a pin again. Now, hang on. Aha! We've already discovered faux pas. So we know that we've got the right number of pins, but I need to check where you come from. This is the problem with rose ground, because they both join in a point. They join in a point kind of between 2 pinholes. And, oh, you can't see it, for fuck's sake. Here you go. So, because of a rose ground joins together to make the point of a corner, they arrive midpoint. So when I fill in this first pin, the other half of the rose ground, it looks like it comes from behind this pin, which makes it look wrong. Which also means you then want to fix a mistake that you haven't necessarily made yet. By the way, I don't think you were here, but I think I've solved my you can't really see problem. Green pattern, yes? You can see the black dogs, they're really nice and clear. What you can't really see, other than like the cloth stitch kind of line bits, how about brown? And if I take a pair of bobbins, like I did earlier, yep, grab them back off the... If I lay this on top, the white shows so much better. So I printed off the brown one, can't really change it mid-flow, but if this triangle proves to be the triangle of my dreams, this one's already printed. I haven't stuck it full of holes yet, so if I turn it over, there's actually my test print on the back. That's because when I originally hit print, it went, oh, the printer's offline, or all the lights are green. So I hit the Wi-Fi button thinking maybe, you know, it hadn't joined the Wi-Fi, so it printed a test page. Since when does Wi-Fi button equal test page? But, so it printed a test page on the back. There are worse things in life, there truly are, but all the same, seriously, can you organise your buttons so they make some sense? So, now, you come out. See, this is where I now also question myself, because I said that it joins and leaves at 5. Well, now that's not, because this one has left, and now there's only 5. Let me go back to my picture. Apparently this is a thing. So, back to picture. So, we've come across, and we gained 1, and should have had 6 at the pin. So, see, this hasn't added up at all. Actually, yes, this would have been 6, but we then lose 1. So, it is 6, and we didn't have 6. We only had 5. But when it comes back, it gains... We've lost 1, which would make it 4, and this would make it 5. So we do not have the right number of bobbins. Well, last time I did this, I only had 3, so I was down 2 bobbins somehow. This is why my brain hurts. It's a bit like, have you seen the maths challenge that constantly goes round and it goes, I borrow $100 from my parents. I buy something that's $97. I give them each back $49. Okay, so I only owe them 2. Where's the other one? Well, the answer is you're not really comparing apples to apples. How is this so wrong? How, in the name of mercy, is this so wrong? Because I really thought we had it. I really thought we had the right number. But we should have had 6 before I put the pin in. And we didn't. We had 5. Am I counting them right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this should have come across. Lose 1, gain 1. 6. No, it does add up. It's just that my brain is still freaking out, and somehow it didn't, because when I was at this side and I didn't have this one, I should have had 6, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I gained 1 and lost 1. My poor brain cell. I mean, my ex-husband always jokes that I am the person for numbers, he is the person for letters, because I'm dyslexic, but I do numbers, and I do logic. But my autistic brain cell has times like this, much like the tallies, where it just goes, nope. But this is true, yes. And this is true, yes. Therefore this is true, no. What do you mean, no? If I put something in my left hand and put something in my right hand, I have 2 things. No. it does this, and it overcomplicates things, and it refuses to see the logic, and it gets really bent out of shape, and I just don't know what to do with it. So, did I screw up somewhere? Yes, I did, because I'm a dickweed. Here is the one that I already discarded. So, I had 6 at the corner, but I took a pair away. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I should have to travel back. But you were right in the first place. Oh, brain cells. Looking for an owner. 1 brain, 52 years old, reasonably well looked after. It's never done drugs, it's never smoked, doesn't drink. So in that sense, it's fairly well cared for. It's got a fairly high IQ, so it's in, it's a fairly premium rate brain cell. But it's seriously annoying, and frankly, I want to take it in the. If I was this way inclined, and bear in mind I'm an absolute animal lover and would never do this, but this is the kind of brain cell that should be put in a bag and slung in a river with a couple of bricks. Just brain cell. This is not funny. All that pain, we've spent, half an hour or so checking this all out and calculating numbers, and you have fought it every step of the way. Throw it in the river. Yeah, exactly. I'll just sit in the corner and drool, and life will be simpler, because I won't understand anything. Brain cell. Christ alive. It's just too much. It really is, brain. I'm sorry, but you are not helping me. You are a hindrance. And so are these fucking spangles. Oh, spangles, please. Right. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the pair in hand. We have got to the other side, which says 6, but it's not, because we will place a pin in it and chuck a pair away after we've worked them, so that technically there are still 6, which is why my brain is fighting it, because it depends on whether you think of it here or you think of it there. So, we will do this bit. Take the pair away, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and picking up the 6th pair when we get the other end. Brain, you just really do not make life good. I guess, possibly, back to picture, the better opportunity is because if we mark them as how many bobbins are in play when the pin goes in the cushion, the pin numbers would be different, because this 5 would be a 6, and all the 5s down this side would be a 6, and then the 6s on the other side would be a 7, but then that doesn't add up, and my brain's already, let's not change them, because of course I've got to discard them, because where it says 3, you discard 1 and it becomes a 2. So it is 3 when you put the pin in, but these are not 5 when you put the pin in, they're 5 when you've thrown 1 away. Brain cell, how can this not add up? How can you be really struggling so badly to keep the logic of this? Let me run through it again, brain cell. You start with 2. You add 1. It becomes 3. You add 1. It becomes 4. You add 1. It becomes 5. You add 1. At the point of putting the pin in, this is 6. But you then take 1 away. Maybe I need to do number at the pin, because you add 1 and pin, or you pin and take 1. And I think that is why, because where the pins pivot, realistically, there is a 2-digit number issue, which is why I was talking about the 2-digit number issue. So if we do this, if we lay out our pins again and turn on the snapped grid so that we don't make such a bastard ugly version of it. 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's turn that corner. Doop, 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 doop. Let's do one more and come around this corner here. Let's call it, actually we'll make it a bit longer than that. There you go. Right. So if I select you, get rid of the dot. Right. Let's, because you can't colour them directly, but you can do this. So you're an add, you're an add, you're an add. Adding, 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 adding. Adding, adding, adding. Fuck you. Adding, adding, add. If you don't click on the right thing, it just completely deselects everything, which is just shit. Adding, adding, adding. Ah, but you add and take away, so. And you can't unselect one thing either. Hence, I hate this software sometimes. Adding, 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 adding. Adding, adding. Adding, 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 adding. Why did you pick those like that, Liz? Let me explain. So, let me move you to layer number 2. Yes, I do want to change them, actually. And we will use layer colours. So, layer number 1 now. Should be a different colour. Is layer number 2 the same colour, just to be awkward? Yes, it is. Fuck off. So let's pick, I know, blue and orange and red. Actually, we'll make you green. There's a reason we'll make you green, because green is a good colour. Right. So all the green ones you add. Then we'll go back to layer 1 so I can pick them. And we'll select items, and that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Decide that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Well, you should end up at the bottom. So you all get moved to. Already forgetting which one it was. Layer number 4, was it, that were red? Yep. Well remembered. So, the green ones add, the red ones subtract, the black ones do both except for the bottom corner. So, if you start with 2, 3, 4, 5, which we agreed on, you come to the other side, you would have 6, but you then immediately lose 1. So while it stays at 5 at this point, which is right per the original numbers, you gain and lose at this point. So then you have 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, but the moment you've left it, 1 pair goes. So the moment you've discarded a pair, there's only 5 as you get to the other side. Well, you're losing 1. Hang on. Brain, this worked a minute ago. 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 at the pin, lose 1 after. did was open it. Fine. Right. Kill that. So, with our reference picture, such that it is, let me it's got a bee in its bonnet. Let me close this. Goodness gracious, computer. I find this one will do. Let's set you to be notepad. Right, let's try this again, children. So, notepad. And let me keep an eye on the corner. So we start in the corner with 2 and we put in a pen. We add 1 and put in a pen. We now have 3. We now add 1, put in a pen. We now have 4. This is the only way this is going to work, isn't it? I'm going to need this to be bigger, so let me just move that over there. Right. So we've done that dot, that dot, that dot. We add 1 and pen. We have 5. We add 1, pen, take 1. Well, actually we pin, so we have 6. But before we really start the next row, we take 1 away. So, arguably it's 5, but we have 6. We had 6 at the bin, but we've discarded a pair. So for the journey back, there were 5, where we add 1 and pin, which will now again equal 6, which ties up with my original numbers. This is looking good. We then take 1. No. With 6. We then travel to the other side and pin, which equals 6, and take 1, which gives us 5, which is the number on the original picture. So certainly the earlier part of this is beginning to look more like it makes sense, even though... Fuck this shit. Right. Oh goodness, why is this hard? I'm glad I didn't make this too long. So we've got 6, we've then... Because you can't really see what I can see, so... actually, let me... I would share my screen, but I think it would be too big to make sense of, because everything else would become too tiny, so I can't really do that. Anyway. And I haven't got a thing to write on that makes it easy to put, you know, +1p and all the rest of it against the dots. But I can't kind of show you the dots at the same time, so that's really awkward. There is a way to do that, actually. Let's grab that for a minute. So, let's grab this like that, paste that in there. Okay, get rid of you for a minute. Grab the text from Notepad, get back to my thing, change this to be paint. Bing! Right. No, I don't want to count. Actually, you do say that. Right. So, if I now go in here and put the text in, right, dink. Oh, that's tiny. We need like, seriously, dude, that's not gonna cut it. Yeah, that's a bit small too. We need huge dudes, and we'll make you a bit wider because, well, that's the thing. Right. So we go back to this. We did. You'll have to follow me. So we did the top group, right? Obviously, if you look at the left-hand one, we are in the process of agreeing that the left-hand one makes sense, right? So we started with 2, which we all agree on. That's the easy bit. We know we start with 2. We add 1 as we travel left and go to the one marked 3. So, yeah, there are 3. We agree that. We travel to the right. We add 1. We pin. We now have 4. We agree. We travel to the left. We add 1. We pin. We have 5. We travel to the right. We add 1, which gives us 6. But immediately after pinning, we lose 1. So at that point, we have 5. This now adds up. We then travel across to the left. We add 1. We have 6. We travel to the right. We still have 6. We pin. We then discard 1. We have 5. We do this a couple of times. Pin equals 6. Sorry, we go on the way back. We add 1, pin. We now have 6 because now we then had 5. So that's fine. On the way back, we've got 5. So we get to the side, we pin. We have 5. No, we have 6. Dickweed. But we take 1 away, we now have 5. So those 5s that we built up down that first diagonal corner actually do add up. We then travel back and add 1, pin, we have 6. But then we also take that 1 away, which should mean we have 5. You see, already brain cells going, this isn't working. Because we gained 1, but we immediately lost it. It literally kind of wrapped around the pin and sudded it off. So we would have had 6, but then we had 5, which means we would get to the other side and pin at 5. Then we're not losing 1. We don't lose 1 at the corner pin, which would mean we go back the other way and pin at 5. Travel across and pin with 5, but we add 1. We add 1 at that point, so we add 1 and pin at 6. So this number here is this number here, not that I can, it's going to screw all that up there, but that number's technically wrong. So some of the corners are ambiguous, but the numbers actually are right. It's just a case of whether you gain one before or gain or lose before or after the pin, because you gain generally before the pin, lose after the pin, but some of the corners you don't lose, some of the corners you don't add. Well, you add, but you lose. So you do both. Hence, for example, if I go back to my Lace 8 program, this corner here, you gain and lose. This corner, nothing changes. So you gained 6 but went to 5. So technically, this is a 5. And you get to the other side, pin at 5, throw one out, but then that's still, even though I've literally just proved that that works. The actual frig. But the problem is, as I said, it's because whether you gain or lose. So 5, you'll have 5 there. You would have 6 because you added 1, threw it away. When you get back to the other side, you gain 1, you have 6. So you get back to this pin here, you will have 6 and then chuck 1 away. So you have 5. You go to this pin, you add 1, you have 6. You get to this pin, you have 6. You pin, chuck 1 away. So you have 5. You go back to this one, you have 6. But you chuck 1 away, so you have 5. So you get to this corner, where you still have 5. You don't discard anything, so you still have 5. So you go to this one, you pin at 5, and discard 1, which means you have 4. You then come all the way over to here, which means you have 5, not 6. You go back, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. But this one stays at 5 because you don't discard. You then add 1 over here to make it 6 and get rid of it to make it 5. You then add 1. So it's just these ones that are wrong. Brain cells on a roll, I think. And so you become 4, which is why it really freaks my brain out. You are 5 because you have not gained, you gain 1. You are 5, you are 5, you are 5. Yeah, I know, they're all screwed up again. And then you lot are 4, 4, and 4. That's more what my brain was saying. So in one direction you have more, and the other direction you have less. But technically you don't, but you do. Are you happy now, brain? I mean, really, this is so much easier to just do it, but then I seem to be so easy at fucking it up. So that makes sense why I had 5 at the corner, but I didn't add 6. But you have 5 because you gain 1 and then immediately lose it, which I did. So at this point, I am heading left, so I should have 6 when I get to the right, and, well, 6 when I get to the left, 6 when I get to the right, and then chuck 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I chucked 1. I should never have had 7. Are you in play yet? No, you're not. So that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The the 6th one has been chucked. Right, let's just fucking get on with it. I seem to have the right number on this one, even though I had clearly the wrong number on the one I did earlier. And we'll really totally ignore that, because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. So, let's... One, two, three, four, five. Good. The 6th pair is in my hand. Steal a pin. Let me transition back so you can see what I'm doing, because at the moment, no, not that one. Bad me. This one. There you go. Now you can see what I'm doing. So, we are in a position where right now, I am as confident as I've ever been in my life that I actually have the right number of bobbins. Possibly for the first time in one of these sections. I am so going to print that up as a big poster on my wall or something. With colours and everything. How is it this darn difficult? So... One, two, three, four, five. Put a pin in. And this is why your brain can go wrong, because we all agreed that there would be 5 at this pin. Go back to my pretty picture. It says, not that pretty picture. Hang on. That pretty picture. So, I am at this point. I should have 5 bobbins. And I do. But if I chuck one, I only have 4 and then go back getting 5. The fuck off, brain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I have 6 bobbins. But I'm about to chuck one. So there will then be 5. So, chuck one. Now I have 5. 5. And now I need to add one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We now have 6 again. Oh, my poor little brain. To be honest, it's easier with the working out maths like I did in Paint with the add one and pin and then take one, because obviously if you add and take in the same row, you've got the same number, but you don't have the same number, because at one point you add more and at one point you add one less, you know. And I think that's where my brain cell's been hurting itself, because it's kind of going, but is that the before, or is that the after, or the during, or the yeah, that's just not brain cell, that's really not. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 in the hand. Pre-pin is the 6 that I started with on the other side, which is fine. Hole, there we go. And now we get rid of them. And then there were 5. So then there were 5. And then we add 2. And now there's 6. Pin. Pin and ditch. Now we have 5. Little brain cell, it's been a hard day for you, hasn't it? Oh, thank you for that, Tench. There you go. I swear I click on things and it does like voodoo by itself. It shouldn't be doing voodoo by itself. I think I know what happens. If I minimise my lace program down to the bottom of my window to get it out of the way, OBS turns the screen black. So I think you're still looking at the lace program while I'm muttering away and counting things, but it's hidden it because I'm looking to see the chat. And Tenchi, all excited. Much discussion yesterday and moaning on my own department. None of you have ever whined about it, but I whine about it, other than Spangles. Is the fact that it's really hard for you to see a lot of the pattern, even when zoomed in. So if I zoom, oh, that is kind of zoomed in. But if I zoom out or zoom in, you can't overly see a lot of what is going on in the actual pattern. And I mentioned yesterday that I had bought some, it's called Craft Brown, so Craft Brown card. So this morning, while I was working, don't tell anybody, I printed it out, my pattern, exactly the same one, on brown paper. And lo, the brown paper, I keep putting these spangled things back on this thing and I keep taking them off again. Maybe I'll stop doing that. But I also wound the bobbins on, right? But if I now, I know, and more to the point, watch this. Here is a single white thread upon it. Look how much clearer that is to see. So if I zoom in, you can really see it. If I zoom out, you can still see it. Now, I'm not going to herald it as the, second coming of the gloriousness of bobbin thing, but hopefully, moving onwards when we actually start working, if we use this square, I will just have to stamp a billion holes. I did count how many stabbings it was. Because if you think about it, each of these triangles is basically, well, you can count them if you can be bothered, but there's 15 there, so that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 45 pairs of bobbins. That's 90 bobbins. Right? 45 pairs of bobbins, assuming I haven't miscounted, in a triangle, starting at 2. And so there's 45 that side, 45 that side, so 45 squared divided by 2. And I will, hang on, 45 times 45, because that would be the square, divided by 2. That's 562.5. Let's go with the more accurate. It's 44 times 44 and add 1, right? So divide that by 2. So that's 968 pinholes. But where I've got cloth stitch, there are a number missing. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Done that one. 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, done you 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17. So that's 57. There are 111 pin stabs per quarter, making 3,644 pin stabs to be put in this square to prick it. Punk off. This is why I hadn't done it this morning, because that's a lot of pin stabs. I mean, that's just a lot of pin stabs. So I hadn't done that. Not too surprisingly, because each pin stab is not just, you can't really do it at speed. It's kind of stab, stab. It takes a while. It's the kind of thing you do while watching a crappy TV show that's on in the background. Probably Harry Potter, because, well, I know it off by heart, and not that it's crappy, but it is that kind of thing to do. It is, you can't be watching it, you can't need your attention somewhere else, because you do have to make them pretty damn accurate. And as I said earlier, I'm going to do it with a slightly fatter poking device this time around, because these are a bit small. But you missed the great debate of how many bobbins I should have. I occasionally whisper when I'm kind of, well, a bit of dramatics, I suppose. But it's the it's more a bit of just dramatic-y kind of like, I shouldn't be doing that. That kind of thing. It is the, is this a plan? Is this my brain cell? Maybe I should whisper for my brain cells, because, well, no, that's not, because they come up with all manner of hilarity. So we have worked out, Tenchy Tench, we spent a lot of time, and let me show you this, trying to work out why it didn't seem to add up, right? So let me share with you this glorious window of me trying to work out how it worked. Now, this does not cover all of the pins. So the 2p is starting at the top green one. You start with 2 pairs. You move to the left, you add 1, so add 1 and pin. P, right? That gives you 3. You move to the right, you add 1. Gives you 4. You move to the left to the next green one, because I tried to do green ones for ads, right? You add 1, that's 5. You move to the left and add 1 and pin, you have 6, but you immediately then chuck 1 in the bin because it goes down, hence the ugly bit on the left with where the pins feed in, where the threads feed into the next bit. Oh, I know you were here for all of it, but Tenchy wasn't. So yes, you missed, like, oh. Sugar, did we spend nearly an hour doing that? It's got to be an hour doing that now. Verifying where all the pins went and where all the bobbins go. So, I'm going to print that. I swear I am actually going to print that. So, we have discarded. So we are on our way back across the row. to add one. Now, it's probably not you, because you're all tangled now. Excellent. Pins and tangles. Pins and tangles. So which ones of you are which? Let's untangle you as well. I'll write it. There we go. Right. It's clearly not you. So, let's have a look. You are all in a big pile of tangle. So yes, we're in a big pile of tangle. And try to work out what goes where. You go there, you come out, you go in. Right, so you will be lined up for that. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 in the hand. Right, this is the one we want. Okay. Gives me my one in the hand. Let's go and steal a pin from down the back. So we have finally cracked what the numbers should be at any one point in time. And it only took us at least an hour. And what have I got? Possibly a bot spam, but I'm going to ignore it for now. We shall see. It's not a in-channel bot spam, it was a DM bot spam. It looked rather AI-like response, so I'm going to ignore it while it is not talking in-channel. Should it spamage, we will, or get on my nerves, either of which could be true, it will be reported, because that's what we do best. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 in the hand. Pin. Poke it down a bit. Twisty, twisty. And chuck a pair away. And then there were 5. Do you have power now, Tenchy Tench? Please tell me you have power. One word answers are sufficient if you're busy, because I know you tend to do this while you're listen to this while you're at work, so I don't want to make you feel like you have to type too much. Oh, that's good. Early's always nice. And you lost the camera again. Ugh. I know how that goes. I lost a few things during my power cut that didn't kind of survive the ride. But then, as we all know, lots of things don't like being powered on and off again. Even though, of course, it's the great IT answer to everything. Have you rebooted it? But, of course, you're not actually turning it off, you're just restarting it. There is a bit of a difference. Light bulbs only blow, usually, when you turn them on. You don't normally sit there and it go, ting, and you're plunged into darkness. So, oh, for goodness sake. What would I do without you, Tenchy? And more to the point, that's upside down. That's not the right one. Hang on. That's the right one. She says, yeah, that's the right one. Because I've got a bit more zoomed out in this top right hand corner and a zoomed in version in the middle to try and pacify a little bit more about what's going on, but not, you know, going too mad. It's not straight again. There you go. I'm clearly having struggles, as I've mentioned a few times over the last few days. I have some news that I'm not sure I'm allowed to share, and clearly it's weighing on my mind a lot more than I thought. Not only is my brain cell being awkward, but I am making a lot of mistakes. I am not noticing things, and I'm usually fairly observant. So clearly I am not myself. On the good news, boss approved my time off at the end of the year. Now, it is very traditional that I get some holiday at the beginning of the year, and I take a couple of, I take some days off here and there. And I get towards the end of the year, and they kind of go, "You got a lot of holiday, you need to take it," because we're not allowed to carry holiday over. And so I kind of go, "Yeah, okay." And, well, on the 5th of December, I will break up for Christmas and not be back in work until the 2nd of January. So I think it's the 2nd of January. It might even be the 3rd, depending on what day of the week that is. Bear with me, I will check. No, that's a clock, idiot. October, November, December. Yeah, I will be back at work on the 2nd of January. So I will be off for best part of December. And during December, I will have a lot of opportunity to sit and make lace. Because there's crap all on TV, seriously. They started the Christmas channel here in August. I mean, seriously, I am a firm believer. I can enjoy Christmas. Can, being the right word. I can really enjoy Christmas. I remember as a child, I must have driven my parents so insane. I won't say I made up a song because it wasn't long enough to be called a song. Tomorrow is Christmas, tomorrow is Christmas. All day. Every day. Well, all day. Can you imagine that for like 9 hours? I'm impressed I'm still alive because, frankly, I should have been shot. But, just as well we have anti-gun laws then, really, innit? So, yeah, this was not a plan. But I sang that all freaking day, and I think actually I was singing it on the day before Christmas Eve. But let's not get into that, because I wasn't very old. But I'm, whether it was Christmas Eve or not, that's a punch in the face. That really, really is. Yeah, they can't, because we don't do Thanksgiving. We do Halloween. And this is one of the most stupid parts. So, for example, for those who aren't aware, I don't tend to leave my house much. Not because I can't. I could go outside as much as I like. I haven't got a working car. Why don't I have a working car? Well, because I don't need one. And why would I spend a lot of money to repair it when, well, I don't need it yet? So I haven't. And I've got to decide before the end of December as to whether I actually fix it or whether I go, you know what? No, I'm not. If I really, really need a car, I'll hire one or I'll get a taxi, right? Because that's how much I'm needing it. It is potentially more cost efficient to hire a car on the 3 days a year I need one than it is to actually own one. For the amount of miles I am not doing, it is, not good for the car, and it's quite a lot of money to insure it and keep it, and because every year we've got to get an MOT which proves that it's roadworthy. And every year they tighten it, so your older cars kind of struggle to pass it. And my car's a 2007. And, so, it's only done 2,000 miles on the clock. But it was made in 2007, and a lot of the things that were the rules then of you can have so many this, and, you can have the tolerances of the output of that have got to be this, have all changed. And so hence we don't have some of the older cars on the road because, well, they don't meet the new criteria. And so poor old Paxo, my car, currently has a dead battery. That is, as far as I know, I won't say all that's wrong with him, all that is stopping him from being drivable. He's needed a new clutch for 5 years, but the clutch hasn't actually gone yet. That's how much I've moved. It slipped a couple of times, but then it did that in the couple of years before I found out I needed a new clutch. I mean, I already guessed that that's what the problem would be, but because it would recover, I wasn't so sure. But apparently I need a new clutch. And as I say, 5 years have passed since being declared I needed a new clutch. And, well, I still haven't done it yet. So he does need that, I know that. But other than that, I'm not aware of anything else that is wrong with him. So when it comes to getting my MOT, I would obviously need a battery to make it move. And they're about 150 quid. But the MOT itself is a handful of quid, but then they service it, and that's always at least £300. So if you say he's probably not going to get a lot of change from £500-600 just to have him deemed roadworthy, even if I didn't include the battery, right? Well, then it's £200-300 to insure it, so that I'm allowed to drive it. Then I've got to put petrol in it. Well, okay, diesel in this case, but I've got to put fuel in it. Well, if I've got to spend nearly £1,000 and I can hire a car for a day at around 100 quid, that's 10 trips I can make for the same cost. And I don't have to service it, I don't have to insure it, I don't have to MOT it. All I have to do is hire it, drive it, fill it up with fuel, give it back. So, it is basically more cost efficient for me to not own a car. And with the shenanigans that I can't talk about, not having a car could be marginally a problem. Because although I live a mile and a tiddly squitch from where I work, this may suddenly be a problem. Not that I need to go to work every day, that's nothing. But I may need to go and visit somewhere else in the country. And that somewhere else is not local. Plus, trains do not run from the nearest train station, which is not that far away, direct to the place that I may have to go to. Which would then mean I've probably got to travel to London to catch a train to travel back out again, and this would take 5 or 6 hours, rather than, say, 2 hours in a car. Now, yes, as you can imagine, I could hire a car and do it. But do I really want to? Is that really what I want to do? Because, well, maybe I don't want to go. 1, 2, 3... Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add 1. So, I don't know. I've got to decide what I've got to do. Now, obviously, there is a lot of freedom. Should the dogs suddenly need the vet, I can throw them in the back of the car when it's working and take them down the vet. Lots of taxis, for example, would not take an animal to the vet, especially a sick one. So that could be a problem. Now, at the same time, I'm pretty sure if I said, my car's knackered, dear next door neighbour, I love you dearly, could you drive me to the vet? They wouldn't say no, because in fact, when I got them neutered, I had arranged for someone to assist, but they weren't available for one of the trips. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the going and getting them trip. They weren't available. Partly because, well, as I kind of predicted, they can't do crates, and obviously they crate them after the operation, and once they worked out they were in a crate, they were screaming, to the point when I turned up to get them, got in the car park, not even with the car windows open because it was cold, you could hear them screaming, and this is why they'd called me to come and get them sooner rather than later. And I took them, well, my neighbour helped me get them home. So, you know, and they dropped work meeting to do that for me. So I do love my neighbours, and I do know that if I really desperately needed their help, they would do everything in their power to help me. So I could forego a car on the simple grounds of, well, part of the reason I needed help to go and get them was because there were 2 of them, and they do not travel well in the car. They do not travel well at all. Partly, again, for the same reason they don't do crates. Because they spent 72 hours in a van, in a crate, getting here, and was not my first choice. And so it traumatised them a lot. And so they don't like being in the car. They won't sit still. You've got to hang on to them. So I was in the back, hanging on for dear life. Because at least they were with me. They might feel calmer, but not necessarily calm, right? So, and that's due in a couple of weeks. That'll be fun. So there is a lot in my head at the moment, and it's all kind of pushing me and pulling me, and so my brain is distinctly lacking. And it is clearly showing, because I have made far too many mistakes in this. I'm making lots of mistakes. I'm forgetting things. I know I'm worked up and, let's call it stressed, but not where I kind of get up in the morning and I'm like, oh my god, I can't cope. I'm not that level of stress. I'm not, but it is clearly having an effect on me. And I think today I am really truly realising that for the first time in a few weeks is that things that I would normally have taken in my stride, things that I would not normally get wrong, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have been able to screw up how the cloth stitch thing works, because brain does that, but making so many mistakes is not like me. I mean, yes, I made a couple of mistakes on that original square, just to remind you, this one, right? There are a couple of mistakes, if nothing else, the hole in the top right hand corner, right? But 99.9% of that is solid and as expected. I did undo a couple of little bits, but it was a couple of little bits, whereas this just seems to be mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. So I am clearly not in my right head. And I apologise for that, because here you all are, well, I say all of you, here are both of you, and, you know, you're having a watch, and this is not me at my best. This is not my best lace making. It's not my best logic, and it's not my best mood. Now, my mood actually isn't too bad, which is why I think I didn't realise quite how stressed I was, because unlike some other people that are involved, they clearly are not coping now, because their mood is very much more of a problem, to the point one may be signed off work. Whereas I felt I was doing okay. Clearly, I am not. And, excuse me one moment. Amy, what are you doing? Miss? What were you snuffling for? Why have you got cold ears? You haven't been outside that much. You shouldn't have cold ears. So yeah, I am not at my best, and I do very much strongly apologise, because, you know, it would be a bit like turning up for some gala performance that I was giving, because bear in mind I do music as well. Well, I can do music. I don't really play anything but currently, but I could if I went and got them. I have instruments I can play. But if I was doing you some musical repertoire and it sounded like someone standing on a cat, you'd be sitting there going, God, this is crap. Why on earth am I turning up? And I kind of feel like that now, because I've realised that what you're watching is really not... I know you're here for me, Tenchi, because, you know, you're a really good friend, but at the same time, imagine how it would be if you didn't know me and you were watching this, and I was explaining to someone the other day. I did karate for years, and when I started, I was the best part of 300 pounds. I have zero, and I mean absolute zero sense balance. I cannot stand on one foot pretty much for more than, like, you know, 0.1 of a second. If I lift a foot up, I am already falling over. I just may have not gone beyond the point of no return yet, but I also cannot stop it because I can't tell I'm falling over. I just happen to know logically it starts the instant 1 foot is lifted off the floor, even just a fraction. So I am almost in a perpetual state of trying to stop falling over. I can't even stand still, right? And as a result, when they do things like, we're going to teach you to kick, so stand or put your left foot back, right? Lift up your left knee as if you're climbing like 3 stairs at a time. Yeah, I'm already on the floor because you've been talking and you told me to lift. We've all started lifting our foot and I fell over because you are now going to explain what to do next, because they kind of go, so lift your knee up. That's stage 1. Kick your foot out. That's stage 2. Dude, I've fallen over 3 times already. Can we get on with it? And so I suffered a lot from that when we first started. In fact, I spent most of my first karate lesson getting up off the floor. And even if I put my hand on the wall, I am not steady, right? So even if I cheated, I was still not steady. This is not conducive, let alone if you're doing round kick, because that's really just stupid. Anyway, so I started at a state that was frankly almost inhuman. So when I got my black belt, I can tell you now, if you had seen various other black belts and you claim along to my black belt grading, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I add one? Did I add one? Yes, I did. It's just for some reason my brain says I've not got enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 in my hand. I have got 6. Right. If you come to my black belt grading, well, if anyone had randomly come to my black belt grading and watched me, I was shit. There's pretty much no other word for it. But if you had seen how far I'd come, I had come far further than pretty much everyone else in the room. Because I started off so incredibly badly, because I also want to point out, because obviously most of you will not know this because you've never seen me in person. By default, before I started karate, even as I'm sitting now, my left foot is pointing 90 degrees left. And that's its default position. I can turn it so it's kind of pointing inwards but from behind, so that it's kind of the 200 degree mark rotation anti-clockwise rather than 180 just straight behind it, and it doesn't hurt. Now some of it's my hip, some of it's my knee, and I think a tiny bit's my ankle. It's just not aligned. With karate, they do an awful lot of stances where your toes are supposed to face inwards. And many early gradings, you need your foot pointing forwards. I would love for my foot to point forwards, because think about it, walking is difficult if you cannot rock on your foot. You can only say do side to side, and ankles don't really move that way. So I got picked on a lot. In fact, I really injured some poor girl. I went with the guides to Switzerland and we walked down a mountain. We didn't walk up it, we got a cable car up it, but we did walk for about 3 hours down this frigging mountain. And all I got for the entire 3 hours was, you got funny foot, you got funny foot, you got funny foot. There is only so much a soul can take. And so I took my shoe off and I ate her with it, because I had slip-on shoes. What I hadn't realised was that my shoe had damaged, and that in true cobber form, the sole of your shoe is nailed on. Well, the nail had exposed, so when I smacked her with it, the nail gouged a great gouge down her arm. There was a lot of wailing tears and a bit of blood and a bit of telling off for me. until someone else actually pointed out she's put up for nearly 3 hours of this girl constantly jabbing at her about how she walks. She snapped, she hit her once. And it's kind of like, you know, it's not like it was excessive, it was the flair of the moment, you know, kind of slap, only I did it with a shoe. And so I was kind of, once I was let off, I was not formally punished. I think that is more accurate. They were not impressed, but they were, you know, there was a level of understanding. And that haunted me for quite a while, because obviously I didn't mean to hurt her that bad, although a bit of pain for her really felt like fairness, in a sense, because, you know, I couldn't change how my body was built. I also have a curved spine, which gives me horrendous backache and some other things, but it's not curved enough that I stand there looking, you know, I'm not the Hunchback of Notre Dame or anything. But she was picking on me and I just flipped. And so I'm normally fairly well aware of my mood and the state of my mind, having had depression. But going back to the karate, it's like a musical instrument. If you gave me a musical instrument, one I've never seen before, as happened when I travelled to Egypt with my dad. We were passing some market and they had this, I'm not quite sure how best to describe it. It's kind of almost a large potato, but it's not potato, it's made of wood, with a neck and some strings on it. So it's a guitar, but it's nowhere near a guitar. It is like potato-sized bulb, right? So it's this tiny little thing. And I tuned it up a bit and could play tunes on it. Now, obviously, they were British Western tunes. It's not the tunes that it's designed for. Because I don't know what they play on it. I didn't. But we bought me one because I was quite intrigued by it. And anyway, next day, we're sitting at I think it was breakfast or lunch. And the guys who we were on a mini cruise. It wasn't a proper cruise. You just float down the Nile a bit. The guys in the ship bought what looked like the same one to me and kind of gave it and kind of like, play, right? And so I did. And I didn't think too much of it. I thought it was mine. Now, if they'd taken it from my room, that's a bit creepy, but we really didn't think about it. We thought maybe, you know, that they'd seen that it was in my room and wanted to hear me play it. And not kind of, you've been rummaging through my stuff. Hey, love snuggle. Yes, I've been apologising because I am not doing this as well as I should. I've been making lots of mistakes, because I'm apparently more stressed than I really had realised. So we spent about an hour working out why I couldn't count and what numbers I should have here and there for the cloth stitch, because obviously you gain some, you lose some, and when you turn a corner, you don't necessarily lose some or gain some, and as a result, the numbers just seemed to go into whack and my head kind of exploded. So we spent a lot of time working out exactly how many bobbins I should have at any one point in time, and I can tell you now that this line here, wrong, but this is a test triangle. It is, much as I've pricked the whole square, I am not going to be making the whole square because I need to kill the bobbins with spangles. I've never been so inclined to just put them in a bag and set light to them in my life. It's not the bobbins, it's the spangles. Lace making is not hard. I don't know whether you've got ads, so I shall wait till the ads are over, but lace making is not hard. In theory. That's all I can say is in theory. yeah, lace making is technically not hard. Pokey pokey, twisty twisty. Right, we have finished the cloth stitch bit, so I am going to poke you down a bit. My dudes, I think it's time. Let's pick you up there. You're known ads, that's right. Some people have ads, and so I wanted to stop so that you didn't miss it. Lace making is not hard. Everything is done in pairs. And, bruises, yeah. Now, while every lace making is different, every lace making is kind of similar. They're like everything, it's the same but wrapped differently, called a different name, which of course makes everything confusing. But the truth of the matter is that lace making has 2 moves, and only 2 moves. You either take 2 bobbins and cross left over right, and it's called a cross, or you take right over left and call it a twist. And stitches are made of twists and crosses, and well, that's kind of it. It truly is that. However, like everything that should be mind-numbingly simple like that, because, I mean, really, how hard can it be? The answer is, it's the same as snooker. In theory, you look at snooker and you go, right, I've got the white ball, I want to hit that ball into that pocket, so I've got to make an angle so that I am creating an angle of the right size to go in that pocket. And usually it's kind of, I've got to aim kind of on the other side of the ball to where I want it to go. Well, that sounds simple. Achieving it's friggin' difficult. Think of playing the piano. All the notes, all you have to do is hit it. Well, that's not hard. I can go up to a piano and hit a key. And if you said to the A key, I can hit the A key. I can play Fur Elise. I can play a couple of other really simple tunes. Kind of it. Because you've got to be schizophrenic. Because you've got one tune with one hand, one tune with another hand, you've got feet, and more to the point, the tunes aren't necessarily syncopated. So if they're syncopated, I can cope with that and I could learn that. When they're not syncopated, no. Just no. And so it is very much like piano playing. Technically, it is not hard. Because there's a key, plonk, I have played that note. Here is the next note, plonk. You can do that. Anyone could do that. Doing it right, friggin' near impossible. And so we hamper ourselves with these things. And lace making is very much that. Lace making is cross a pair of bobbins, cross another pair, twist a pair of bobbins, twist a pair of bobbins, twist a pair of bobbins, twist a pair of bobbins. It is no more than that. But the truth of it is, so I want to kind of keep it down here, but I don't want to extend these bobbins, but I want to try and keep a few more of them out of the way a little bit, because I want to work the bit nearest me. So I'm making piles of bobbins over here, because I need these to come down, because I will need these. We are going to add the bobbins that I wound earlier, because it's that time. Now, we are not continuing ground stitch, because we are trying the honeycomb with twist. Now, the lovely lady who was German, and who I found on YouTube doing it, and I went, oh, I quite like that. She called it ground. She called it rose ground. Now, to us, rose ground is more these little ones with squares with circles in it, and Love Augie, I misread your name earlier. I'm also dyslexic and squinting at my screen. I have an improvement. This was to test my design, and if I liked it, I was going to do the whole square. But because I hate the spangles with more passion than is reasonable, we are going to stop at the first quarter. So although I have the square out, another good reason for ditching the square, other than the spangles, is I've got a better colour square. If I lay this down, this shows so much better, and if I take the pair of bobbins that are free, the white thread shows up a lot better, and for example, if I zoom in, it stands out really well, whereas if I take this off and you look at the ones below it, you can't really see a lot. So we have learnt a lot in the last couple of weeks. We have learnt how to stop the audio from mangling itself. We have learnt that I suck. Well, I think that was possibly already a known factor, but so we have made some improvements. I've changed my screen so that there's kind of a more zoomed out and a more zoomed in version, so that you can have an idea of what's going on at the same time as seeing more accurately, specifically what's maybe happening nearer the pin stage. It's still not ideal. I am potentially going to get a new camera lens, because I'm now using my fancy camera, and the fancy lens that I've got is saggy. Because the camera's pointing down, it just slides and zooms out. I can't control the zoom on it, so that's no good to me for this. It's not a bad lens, but it's no good for this. So but what we're going to do for this is the honeysuckle, not honeysuckle, or maybe it is. It's we think of it as, torchon people think of it as a honeycomb, but this lady called it rose ground. So, to be honest, irrelevant of what it's actually called, we're going to do it. And as we all know from crafting, most things have a dumb name anyway, so it's not necessarily a helpfully named thing anyway. So we are going to do exactly what she did, which was hole stitch stuff. And I'm going to use new pins because the others are under a pile of bobbins, frankly. So you go in there, and then we hole stitch you. So we cloth stitch you. Now it's not marked out for this, so I will make mistakes as if I'm not already making a big ton of mistakes. And we will hole stitch you. Because I need 3 of them. Do. Right. Then I can yoink you out of there. Put you in the next one. Give you all a little bit of a tub. There we go. And then we get the next pair. So Tenchi, I know you're working, but the girl, lady, both, whatever, couple, that's possibly the best word, who sell the bolster cushion that I found, the big one, that would mean I could do this in one piece. Love Augie, just so you know, I'm trying to, while I'm making this quarter of a square, the plan is to make 12 squares and join them together and call it a net curtain. The squares may not all be the same, and perhaps that could be a very wise move, but that's the plan, that this is an epic journey. It is kind of Hobbit-like, with a ring and everything, and I plan to make a net curtain. Now, to throw the manner in the mix, I've been thinking about these squares, and I'd been working on, could I join kind of, let's call them bookmarks, bookmark-shaped strips, slightly fatter than bookmarks and obviously a lot longer, because the window in question needs to I need 43 centimetres by 97 centimetres, and that's 18 by 34, I think it is, in inches. And because I don't want the ruffly curtain, I don't want a wavy kind of loose curtain, I want like a cover for the window pane. So at least that means I have to do less of it, but I am in kind of, I worked out that the strips I could make, because of course I can make strips, were not necessarily going to join well enough that it wouldn't look like I'm packing it up. So, not wanting to stare at something in my window that looked like I munged the whole thing and maybe had 3 bottles of wine or something as I tried to do it, because it would look more like a fault line where you joined it, because you would have to get it so right for it to be tensioned correctly and all the rest of it. But that was not going to be a great plan. So it's not. I'm going to make squares and then join the squares because, well, the square's a square and it already has a line on it and it's a straight line and it's quite easy to join straight lines. And I'm not going to say it's not going to look a little bit slightly dog-eared at the edges, but, you know, I'm capable of sewing, so it should be quite feasible. However, then I discovered a bolster cushion that would be big enough to make it in one piece. Now, bobbins give me anxiety, as you possibly can tell by my frustrations with the spangles. Although it's not, in this case it's the spangles, not the number of bobbins particularly that are causing me a bit of a meltdown. But the truth of the matter is, too many bobbins are, well, just too many bobbins, and I don't need that in my life. I really don't, and I am a little bit nervous about having 6,000 bobbins and to make a net curtain, and how you handle those, because I spend enough time untangling these and there's only 90, what did we work out, was it 90 or something? So yeah, so making the squares had a purpose, because obviously it is a lesser thing. You only do half the width of the square, you work around in a square. The joins are on the diagonal in the square, because as it turns out, I suck at the bottoms of things. So if I had made this as one piece and got to the bottom, the finishing point across the bottom looks like the cat played with it. It's not a look, right? So I had and still have a plan. Now, so the squares are it, but of course now my brain's going, and my brain, I treat my brain as like a second person, because it has random ideas that I'm really not up for, but it won't shut up until I do, so we have a bit of a battle over it, and making the net curtain is one of those battles. It originally wanted to do a double knitted 3 window sized piece, frankly in the finest crochet thread known to God, so that there'd be like a gazillion stitches on its shortest side and it would take me like 20 years to knit it. And I'm not a slouch knitter, but you know, it would still take like 20 years to knit it. So I have been harbouring this problem with my brain for, it's got to be 10, 15 years now, and I've managed to abate the whole kind of double knitted thing. But the lace thing, well, I'm not really a girly girl. I'm what was formerly known as tomboy. I'm just not a girly girl, and so I find myself in a position where I just need that to be different. I need to, I don't use lace, I don't have patterns on the walls, I don't wear anything that's remotely girly clothing. In fact, I'm sitting here wearing a men's jumper, a men's t-shirt, and a men's pair of trousers. So there you go. Why? Because you can go to Amazon and go, my butt is this big, my chest is this big, please give me clothes that fit. And out comes clothes that fit. So, and as I'm not going out, and well, I'd go out in this anyways, but you know, it's not a big deal. In fact, I live in this beige jumper and have done. By the way, beige jumper, there you go. I have about 8 of them, but they all roughly look the same. I'm a bit like Einstein in that sense, in that I wear what looks like the same shit every day, because, well, it looks like the same shit every day because I've got that many of them. So, and it's not for the same reason. It's not because I don't want to decide. It's because I like them, and they only made them in beige, so I bought it in beige. If they bought other colours, well, I probably would have done that, but they didn't, so I didn't. Now, I can't see jack of that because it's tiny and small, so I'm going to get my phone. I want to see how this looks. I missed a phone call. What is wrong with you people? Same person. I think it was it last week? They ring me. I've said I am streaming Friday afternoon, so they ring me. Phone's on silent, love. Not doing that. Let me take a photo so I can see more closely. Actually, I can't see if it's in focus. Can't see. Oh, it's got the thing turned off. Hang on. There you go. Turn that on. Let me poke at that and see if I can see what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look as exciting as theirs does, but there's only one, so you know, let's not hang it before it's due. Right, so those 3 have been done, and then I need you 3 and 3 more. So, you got wrapped around a pin. Yep, you 3, I think. Let's check. That one, and yep, that one. So, you now need to go across and pin. There's 2 pins, you idiot. If anyone needs an ex-husband who likes to ring you when you said you're not available, just let me know. It's going free. I won't charge you for it. He is a nice bloke, actually. Don't get me wrong. He just rings me even though I've already said I am busy. Freaking spangles. The problem I'm having with the spangles is that they flip underneath the bobbins so that they don't lay flat, and then it makes it harder to be sure you've put them in the right place because they kind of cross, and which side of the bobbin should they have been on, kind of thing. So 3 of those, 3 of those. You 2 need to cross, and then we'll do this side first. So I'll stitch for you. I could half stitch this, but she did whole, so I'm sticking with whole because I liked how hers looked. And then I'll stitch for you. Problem is, because this is not marked out for this, it's too easy to get it wrong and be using the wrong pins, if you know what I mean. No, I know that's right. It just feels wrong. And I suffer a lot from the it's not feeling like I'm doing it right. Because quite often I'm not at the moment. Which, as I said, the stress is clearly more weighing on me than I thought. I'll have to ask if I'm allowed to talk about it now, because they've made a bit of a decision, so. One, 2. Hang on. No, 2 and 3. So you have been dealt with. 2 and 3 from that side. 2, and I need. Should need 2 more, but I don't. Why don't I? I do need 2 more. Oh dear, brain cell, you really, really are having a bad day, aren't you? You are a pair. You're escaped out of the bottom, I think. That's why that's funny. You're the next pair. Yep. So, half stitch, full stitch for you. So yes, love Augie. I've been doing this a couple of weeks now, and this week I have mostly streamed every day. I think Monday I didn't. Time got away from me. It varies a little in time, but I am guaranteed to be here from 2 till 4 my time, which was starting 3 hours ago. And I was hoping to get quite a bit done today, so hence I'm still here, because, well, we're on a bit of a roll, frankly. See, I shouldn't need you, but I seem to need you, and I'm a little bit confused. Did I screw up something? Don't think so. Anyway. I need to cross you 2, and then I need to cross stitch you 2 and extend you because you're big and annoying, and pin you. Because it's not marked out on my card, what the hell's that fluff? Go away. It's quite easy to make a mistake with it, especially as all the others have been half stitch. That really doesn't help matters. So, didn't ask you to come with it. Right, there you go. You now go that way. And this looks totally wrong. Never mind. Let's pin it and see what happens. Pin. Stitchy, stitchy. Bottom one. They don't entirely look like hers. But they don't entirely look wrong either. Now part of that I think is because the last row of ground obviously was half stitch and these are whole stitch. So that means that one side, the top side of these are going to look different to what they probably should have done, so the bottom row would look better. And we could do the bottom row now, we really could. But you know my aversion to lots of bobbins, it is quite violent and upsetting, even though it's only 2 more bobbins. I mean, seriously, it's 2 more bobbins. But in short, when she did it, what you got were 2 almost 1970s looking, but they were like circles with crosses in the middle. Now, part of that was the angle she held them, because obviously we work generally on the diagonal, as was she, to be fair. So the cross is like a multiplication size, big, you know, letter X style. But the way she held the work at the end, they were more top to bottom and left to right, but having the filled in hole of the honeycomb, bear in mind I was concerned for flies flying through the hole in the honeycomb. Not that there are a lot of flies around here, but Yeah, I don't need flies in the house, really don't. Fortunately, the dogs don't tend to be quite as nutty as one of mine was about flies. He had a real frigging problem. But I don't really want. I want the net curtain to be dense enough that it is kind of a fly barrier. Although, of course, it would be against the window pane, so I'll be no good at that whatsoever. Not the point. I want it to be not too obscuring, so I want it to be fairly light and airy, but I also don't want it to be pointless. And I don't like spiders much. So hence we've kind of arrived where we arrived, and having discovered this kind of honeycomb with a cross in it, I'm quite keen to give it as an alternative for the section in the middle, so that there are at least 3 distinct sections rather than it looking like there's a ring of rose ground on a background. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's what we will decide once we get to the bottom of the triangle. Once the triangle is complete, we will be analysing just how much a girl can screw up 2 moves and forgetting to do a few bits, because we already know that I've made about 20 mistakes already, and come the final article, this square would have to be thrown in the bin. And I don't know quite what to do. If I was doing this for real and I got to this point of my triangle and found that I had made that many mistakes and was not prepared to wind back that far, the only real answer is to cut it off and start again. And I don't want to be starting like 60 squares to get 12, you know? But I am off in December, and being off in December will mean that I don't have to think about anything particular, and there aren't any worky things, and all the shenanigans that go on with, you know, the joys of working. I will be in a position where my time is my own, so I can get up late and sleep in and sleep when I want to, eat when I want to, you know, all those joyous things about being on holiday, and just spend my time making lace. So I foresee quite a few streams in December, just because, well, I'll be off and I'll be wanting to crack on with this. So because, well, clearly I want to get on with it, and much as I'm not doing a very great job at actually getting on with it and getting it right, I will have some more dedicated time. See, this is what annoys me. You can't really see this. If I pull these bobbins up, the spangles have flipped over, and then of course if they flip underneath, they're just really irritating. There is just nothing good about spangles, in my opinion. I know they stop it rolling around, but I'd rather they rolled around than got on my nerves, frankly. So I'm sorry, spangles, I am not your fan. I know it's traditional, I know that you are technically harmless, but you know what? You and I are not going to work. It is just not a plan. And the knots come off that one. Never mind. So I was watching a lace stream last night. Well, before I did some streaming of my own, but I was watching a few videos last night. After while it was uploading the thing to YouTube, and I came across a lady who was doing something. I can't remember what she was doing actually. Can't remember why I was watching it, but I was watching it anyway, and she pointed out that most of the time people say you have to cross your bobbins when you put them on a temporary pin, and she said, I worked out that all that happened was it was untwisting, and I was like, yeah, I worked that out when I was 11. If you hang a pair of bobbins over a pin in kind of the way anything that would hang over a nail on the wall or whatever, so dangling down each side, you then twist them once. So there is one twist, You then do something else with it and put in another nail and then take the first nail out. Well, of course it's going to untwist. There's nothing holding it there. And so I worked that out years ago. So I have never done the twisty thing that lots of people say you should, just because, well, it never made any sense that it would make a difference. Now, there are times that it does make a difference. So if you put 2 bobbins in onto a pin and you twist them, either both sides together or one side twice, whichever is your preference, that does make a difference, because what you do is you twist them round each other, and then when the pin comes out, they are still round each other. So that makes some sense. That one does have logic. But the one where you do it so that... Are you in a pin? Yeah, you are in a pin. If you don't have... You know, it just doesn't make any sense otherwise. It just doesn't. It's not going to work. It's not going. It's just going to untwist. Ouch! Stabbed myself with that one. These things are like acupuncture ones. Maybe that's what I should buy. Because acupuncture ones are, you know, long and thin, and these are long and thin and pointy. Well, they're not that long, but they're thin and pointy. And maybe if I got some slightly longer ones, that would be a thing. So let's move you over there. Dealt with you 3. Now I've got you 2 in the middle. So cross stitch to you. What I will do is I will get to the bottom of this and take a bit of a break and come back later this evening would be the plan. So because as I say, it's not, I want to get on with this, but I also need to, you know, feed and dog, and not dogging, do dog things, because, you know, they deserve love and attention, because they're cute. No, I have screwed it up. One has screwed it up, so undo you. So I need to pin you. Let's see, I need to pin you. Then we do this again, and now we do you. And pin. We're done with you, and we need you and you, I think. Yep, you 2. So you cross, and we'll do you first, because you're the awkward side. And then we'll do this side. Pinnage. And then we do the one in the middle. Getting a bit excited to be losing the spangle bobbins, because technically these are done for forever right now, and we will never need them again. So all of those now will never be used again. I could cut them off. I'm not going to cut them off just now, because I'm going to actually put a couple of knots on the bottom so that they doesn't all unravel. But let's have a quick look. You know what? Those circles do kind of show. I don't think I can zoom in far enough that you can see it, mind. Let me put that filter thing back on. She says that was easier said than done. So let me put the filter thing back on. Which makes it a little easier for you to see. Not a lot. don't get me wrong, and it is a bit TV static, I'm aware of that, but if I make this big on my screen so I can see exactly what you see, and then try and make sure that it is as focused as possible, you can almost see, because the moment I let go of my camera it slightly unfocuses, but you can almost see, if I leave it like that, if you look, there's like a little circle with a cross in it, a little circle with a cross in it, a little circle with a cross in it. So those are ground stitch. The circles are a little bit more interesting, but not hugely overwhelming. Oh, who woke you up? So at that point of view, there is a bit of you that kind of goes, that could be a thing. But the problem is because they line up with this line of stitches and would start the next one on that one, you would get that traditional stitch join look in the middle, which I'm not overly keen on. Whereas rose grounds, for example, could be done up to the edge, and then what happens is the pointy corners. So if you look at my rose grounds, again, I know it's not that easy, but if you look along here, there is effectively a square with like a circle in the middle. Well, the points end up being in these gaps here between the squares, and so rose ground would work really well in the middle, because then they look continuous, because even if you turn them 90 degrees, well, they're kind of symmetrical from all angles, so they don't show that it's rotated. Whereas, for example, these are slightly oval in that direction and would change to be oval in that direction, so again you would see it, and you know, if you have OCD you'd stare at it, which I don't have OCD, but even I stare at some things. I used to do a lot of shape changing years ago in my job, as backup dude, and we had this tape unit, and it was kind of like bubble wrap to look at, in that it was a metal plate with a load of hole punches kind of in it. Only they clearly didn't quite line up one bit quite right. So there was, it'd been done in strips, and obviously at the machine, as it went down, it moved so far, punched some holes, moved so far, punched some holes, and it had lined up, say, left to right, but not top to bottom correctly. So some of them were kind of not where they should be, and it had either overlapped, but somehow it kind of looked in line at the bottom, but at the top of this section, munge. And the whole time, and I spent 15 years, no, not quite that many, must have been 12, 13 minimum years, staring at this thing, and it's all you could see every time you sat there, because you're waiting for it to empty the tapes, and it could take 20 minutes to fill up the unit for you to empty. You'd be sitting there staring at this thing with the floor in it. You just couldn't look anywhere else because it was right in front of you, and you'd be like, you had one job and you didn't punch it. So I'm going to leave this here today. Well, for now. Let me take that filter off, because you don't really want to see it like that normally. Oh, shut up! Growly face. And don't sing about it either, little miss. So that's going to be the end of today's. I'm going to phone people who've been trying to get hold of me and to remind them I was busy, and then I will be back later. So if you followed, and all that kind of stuff, then you should get a notification that I will be back. It's nearly 5:30. I will get some takeout, because it's Takeout Friday, which is one of my few traditions in this house, is Takeout Friday, and I know exactly what I'm going to have. In case anyone's interested, it's kind of like tortilla chips with cheese and jalapenos, in a box, a really small box, admittedly, but it is a box, and a burger and some fries. So that's going to be my dinner, because, well, I deserve it. It's been a week. The fact that I had it last week is completely irrelevant, but I'll have that, eat that, do some dog things, and I will be back later. And if I catch you later, it will be great. If I don't, maybe next time. But hopefully, if nothing else, I shall be back again tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!